It's the Vancouver Hockey Show playoff edition. Andrew Wadden alongside producer Aaron. We got a special guest coming up later on. Let you know about that in just a moment. But Aaron, we are going to rewind the first two games of the series. And that's what we'll do here, folks. We'll come back every other game or so and just sort of update you here. But as you know, the series now 1-1. Canucks take game one, that is 4-2, and they lose game two 4-1, which was last night. But let's go back to game one, an incredible atmosphere at Rogers Arena. And I mean, again, 9 years without playoffs in a hockey town, people are going to get excited. And
There's
they did.
Pent up energy there, man.
Little pent up frustration, if you will. And the game was, frustrating for Canuck fans. They were down in the third period. And then, 2 goals in 12 seconds. Dakota Joshua scoring twice. He gets an empty netter. He gets the game winner in that one. But it must have just been an incredible atmosphere. These are the times that I do miss being in the press box myself, Aaron, is these playoff games. Regular season games, you kind of take it for granted, especially when the team isn't good, and it's like, I get to go to the games. But boy, I had FOMO in game one for sure. And listen, the Canucks gave them what they wanted with a W.
I would have happily taken a folding chair somewhere in some access way just to be in the building to experience that, right?
I would have just sat on the stairs in the 500 level, right? Which is essentially where the press box is. Game two, though, different story. And of course, the biggest story going into that one is Thatcher Demko, as we found out, was going to miss that game. And then post game, we find out that the injury is going to be week to week, so it looks like he's going to be done for the series. Casey DeSmith gets the starting goal, and he got his name chanted.
Hey, everybody, that was a good moment of yes, we're rallying. That's a rally. Get the team pumped. Hey, man, we know you're facing a huge task ahead of you, but, we're behind you. But
74 seconds later, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah.
Anthony Beauvillier, former Canuck, with the goal.
It's always the formers.
But you can't really blame DeSmith on the goal. It was just one of those ricochets where he's going one way, the puck ends up going the other way, and it's in the back of the net. So I don't think
the first shot of that game.
I know, it's just there's a lot that didn't go right there for Casey DeSmith. Post game though, I liked his demeanor. Mm-hmm. I really did. He shrugged it off. The team somewhat shrugged it off. I mean, there's some serious issues that you got to sort of take care of if you're the Canucks. I don't know if issues is the right word, but just some
human,
things that
man. To have such a deflating first goal. Of course that's going to affect you, right?
Yeah, of course. But just the way that the game just sort of played out as well, right? Nashville just throwing themselves in front of everything. JT Miller at the end of the game, post game, was asked, what'd you see out there? He's like, I saw yellow jerseys. You know what I mean? It's just, you can't get the puck through. And they were absolute warriors with the Preds, but it's interesting to see if they can play this style of game, over and over to be able to win this series. And maybe they can pull out a series playing that way. I don't know if you can pull out a Stanley Cup playing that way.
No. I think all London drugs and shoppers around the arena were sold out of ice packs after that game for Nashville. So if you want to find ice packs, they're all at Nashville's hotel.
Yeah, Nashville's got them over at wherever the Pan Pacific or wherever the hell they're Weston, wherever they stay. I don't know where they stay these days. But yeah, no, I wonder if the Preds can play that style, but we'll see. We'll see going into game three, which we have a little bit of a break now, as there'd be 2 days between games. They'll play game three on Friday. So I mentioned that we got a special guest, Aaron, so I hope you cleaned up the place, get everything all tidy.
It's guy clean.
Okay, good. You wear a dress shirt, a tie, perhaps. We got a good guest here. We got to impress her. Gemma Karstens-Smith is going to join us from the Canadian Press, coming up here on the other side. As promised, Gemma Karstens-Smith joins us from the Canadian Press. Gemma, exciting atmosphere around Rogers Arena. I know it's your first time covering the Canucks in the playoffs. We'll get to all of that, but we do have to unpack game two just a little bit, because a little bit, I don't want to say night and day from game one, but the Preds went from blocking 14 shots in the first game to blocking 33, basically channeling their inner Victor Wembanyama, if you will, with that victory in game two, a 4-1 affair. But I got to ask you this, can the Preds win a series that way? You're going to get pretty beat up if you keep wearing so much rubber.
Yeah, I mean, they rolled out the same lineup for games 1 and 2. I don't know if they'll be able to roll out that lineup again for games 3. You saw that shot that Ryan McDonough took late, and that was a doozy. I think, like you said, I don't know that that's a sustainable way of winning games, but they did it, right? Like I know Brunette was saying after the game last night, he was so proud of how they put their bodies on the line, and they really did. 33 block shots is nothing to balk at, that's for sure.
Yeah. You look at the way that the goaltending played for the Preds as well, and, they could steal a series with Saros, but just the amount of, attempts that the Canucks had on net, that's what makes me feel like this just isn't sustainable for the Preds. And also, too, if you're the Canucks, like, you've seen the quotes after the game, like, they're still feeling pretty good about themselves. I know you were in the press room afterwards. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. They're not disappointed in how they played. They're disappointed in the result. Yeah. And I think that's fair. I think there were so many emotions after that first game. You talked about that atmosphere. It was bananas, I think is the way to put it. And then to lose your starting netminder, who's been such a big story down the stretch here, coming back from the knee injury, and now he's down and out for whoever knows how long. I think the emotions were big, and they still rallied and fought really hard. They just didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk after the game about needing to put more shots on net. Yeah, obviously. But when the other team is blocking 33, you got to find a way to get around that. But you also got to give a little hat tip, because the Preds did what they had to do. Like I said, I don't think that the Canucks played badly last night. I think that you play that game 5 times and you get a different result, at least 4 of those.
Yeah, the one thing that is concerning, though, and, as I mentioned, can you get through, 16 wins to be able to and play that way? I don't know if you can, but you might be able to sneak out a round. And you might be able to do it, of course, with good goaltending. And we've seen that from Saros as well. You speak about the goaltending for the Canucks, obviously Thatcher Demko being a major story. But, you followed this team all season long. We followed this team as well. Casey DeSmith, he's a good goaltender. Now, can he win you those 16 wins to win a Stanley Cup? We'll have to see. But right now, in the moment, can they get through with Nashville with DeSmith? I believe they can. What do you think?
I absolutely believe they can. You have to remember that last night was Casey DeSmith's second playoff appearance. You know what he did in his first? He played the New York Rangers in Madison Square Garden and stopped 48 of 51 shots before getting injured in the second overtime. He's okay. Don't worry about Casey DeSmith. He had a bad night, started with a bad goal. You had to feel for him, because those "Let's Go Casey" chants followed by a real stinker there.
Yeah.
That's about as bad as it can go. But you know what? To hear from him after the game, he didn't seem down. And I think that he rallied through the game too. I don't think that he had a bad game. He didn't have a great game, but he's not going to stand on his head the same way Demko is.
Yeah.
And if the team plays better in front of him, and I don't think that the defense was awful last night either. That's the other thing. But I think that if he can get a little bit more help, especially in terms of clears, I think goaltending is not going to be an issue however long DeSmith is in net.
Of course, people are sensitive when it comes to goaltending in this market, and it's been a goalie graveyard, at least at times over the years. Maybe not so much nowadays over recent memory. But of course, with Thatcher Demko going down, it's a tough one for the Canucks. And, some people are speculating, will the leash be short for DeSmith? I kind of roll my eyes. What say you? Because Artur Silovs is very unexperienced. He might be the goalie of the future. Who knows? I don't think the future starts right now, though.
I think that's such a tough situation to throw such a young, unexperienced goaltender into. I think it's one thing to put him in a regular season game, and look at some of the regular season games that he got down the stretch there. He was playing against Anaheim. He was playing against the Coyotes. They weren't all games where he was going to have to be this Superman, right? And he's a good goaltender, absolutely. Like you said, goaltender of the future, absolutely possible. But I would be very hesitant to put him in this kind of scenario, especially in games where the series is level or you're playing your first game in Nashville. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to put Artur Silovs in net for the first game in Nashville. Thanks very much.
Yeah. What are you hearing about the injury with Demko? Because people are saying it's a new injury now. And of course, they're saying it's a knee injury as well. But, just going through some of the reports and some of the people talking to sources saying, listen, this could be worse than maybe they're playing it out to be.
I think that very little is actually known right now. I think there's a lot of speculation. I think the reason that you're hearing a lot of different reports is because there's just not information yet. It's kind of a wait and see. So it's TBD. I think that week to week is a optimistic projection. Whether or not we'll stand back in the playoffs depends a lot on how this team does. How's that for
oh boy,
for prognostication?
Yeah, I don't know if Canuck fans want to hear that. I think we need to understand, at least Canuck fans need to understand, that he's going to be out for this series. I do not see him coming back against Nashville. But again, as mentioned, like, I think Casey DeSmith could carry you through at least one series. We'll see where it goes. And, you could be facing, a high-powered offense like the Oilers in the second round. So that would be frightening if you're a Canucks fan and you got that, Casey DeSmith in the net. But let's cross that bridge when it comes. Right now.
One step at a time here, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is Casey DeSmith won some big games, right? He's performed well for this team this year. This is why they went out and got Casey DeSmith and why they didn't rely on Silovs as the backup, right? That was a trade that has really panned out this season. It's some smart business by that front office. They've done a few pieces of smart business over the offseason, and this is why you do that. DeSmith is a legit goalie in this league.
Do you think the Canucks, just their defensive play, though, could perhaps, like, if they are, hey, we got to go with Casey now, do you think the way the Canucks play defensively that they could be able to, ride DeSmith throughout the playoffs?
I think that, yes, I do, because when your back's up against the wall, you go with the options you have. And I think that we've seen this story happen before where a team rallies around a goaltender. And I think that the connection in this locker room, the way that this team can play for each other, I could absolutely see them coming together and raising their game to a level that protects DeSmith.
All right. How are they going to protect Elias Pettersson right now? Because he's got 1 goal in his last 15 games. He's on a milk carton right now. I'm questioning whether he's got the right line mates. I know they did the shuffle with Lafferty and swapping out Mikheyev. It just seems like because the thing is with Pettersson is, although he's a superstar player, he doesn't really drive the offense like, say, a McKinnon, a McDavid, or a Matthews does, right? He kind of lets his workers get in there and he uses his shot definitely to his advantage. But right now, the head coach wants him to shoot more. But also, too, like, he's not really getting the puck the way he has been in the past. You don't want to break up that third line because the chemistry's there now with Lindholm and Garland and Joshua. You know the way the first line has been as well. So Pete, it's almost like Petey and Hoglander are sitting there going like, hey, us over here, we need somebody. And it's just that third wheel that they can't seem to find right now.
And we've seen that for quite a while now, right? Like, Tocchet is really into pairs. We've seen that all season. And the PD Hoglander pair has worked really well, but they haven't been able to get that third wheel in there. And you need a tricycle. You can't just have a bicycle. It doesn't work in this game. Yeah. So I think that this has been a problem that's been a long time coming. And to see it so spotlighted here is not a huge surprise, but it's a big problem. How do you protect PD? I think you get him the best mental performance coach in the entire world, because I think so much of this is about being snake bit. You saw that several times last night. He's making plays that are uncharacteristic, and you can like see the wheels turning to a degree that is not good. Because if I can see the wheels turning from the press box, I know that every single Preds player on the ice can see it in a much bigger format. So they know when he's going to bobble that puck. They know where that shot's coming from. He had 7 shots blocked last night. That is bad. You don't have to be a statistical genius to just know that bad. So how do you protect PD? You get him some noise canceling headphones and a really good mental performance coach. And you keep working, right? And if you're Tocchet, you say, you shoot that puck 100 times before you get off the ice. And I want 98 of them to be in the back of the net, because I think he just needs to regain his confidence. That's a huge part of what's going on here. And to try and get him regaining his confidence in game mode is going to be difficult because you're playing a grindy team in the Preds.
Yeah. I mean, he did have that one wide open net that he just flat out missed that one. And that's, you saw when he looked to the heavens and was like, oh my goodness. The one that really
dropped to his knees.
Yeah.
He literally dropped to his knees. Like that is all you need to know about how things are going for Elias Pettersson.
He did have that one chance as well, but if you watch the replay, like he just didn't even have his head up to look. He was looking right at Garland the whole time, tried to do the little sauce over to Garland, and it just got blocked as well. But when you look back at it, it's like, Petey, just look up. The net was wide open for you again. So you talk about confidence, and there you go. That's just a prime example of it right there. Who do you like, though? Like, who do you like with Pettersson? Would you break up Höglander and Petey? Or do you like that duo? Like, who's the right guy? Because to me, it should be Mikheyev. Like, it should be. You're paying him to essentially be that guy. Go in there with some speed, fish out pucks, feed the big boy who can bury it in the back of the net, and Höglander can do that as well. But it just seems like Mikheyev just hasn't found his footing like all season long, it seems like, especially the second half. And then with Lafferty, it's like, okay, maybe if you in a pinch, but he just doesn't seem to be able to hold on to that. So, who is the right guy? Is it Podkolzin, perhaps? Is it time to bring him out from eating popcorn in the press box? And, big body guy, he's got the energy of a young guy. Maybe he's the right mix.
I mean, why not try it, right? Like, What's happening right now is not working. Surprise. Like that's not breaking news to anyone. Why not try it? Because I think the only guy who might be more snake bit on this team than Pettersson is Mikheyev. And you have seen that translate to a lot of other parts of his game in terms of distributing the puck. And he's still speedy, but like, did you notice him last night? Because I noticed him once, and it was not for something good.
I feel like he's lost a step. I know the knee injury, obviously, and it takes a while to come back from it. And I'm wondering what a good offseason of training is going to allow him to be again. But right now he's lost a step, it feels like. So yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to do something, because you can't have a superstar like Elias Pettersson without any help right now, right? And when you do look around the lineup, it's kind of hard to find guys because, like I said, you like what you've got from that first line, you've like what you got from that third line. Let's talk about the atmosphere a little bit, though, because, as I mentioned, it's first time for many of us, really. And to be honest with you, like 2015 just seems like so long ago. I don't even really remember it at this point, but I definitely remember that game one. And boy, I wasn't in the building, but it felt like it from just watching on my TV. It was electric in there. And maybe, a little subdued maybe in game two because of the fact of the 74 seconds in and you're already down one buzz. Didn't really get the momentum in that game, but just the way that the Canucks were able to come back, those 2 goals in 12 seconds. I mean, the roof must have like exploded at that point. It must have been incredible.
Honestly, incredible is the right word for it. It was absolutely bananas. I didn't know that Vancouver could be that loud, and I guess
Nice.
like I should have, but I'm not from here. I haven't watched this team in person go on a real true run, right? Like I was in Vancouver in 2015, but it was so lackluster that I don't really remember it, and I wasn't covering the team at that time. So this is really my first taste of people being legitimately hockey mad in this market. And they really are. The noise is just incredible. What really blew me away was how we went down, did all the post-game scrums, which takes an hour, like a literal hour during the playoffs, came back upstairs, and you could still hear people outside the rink. And we're in the 500 level. You can hear people outside the rink still chanting and screaming and all of these things. Like, that is excitement. That is true belief in this team. And to hear how the players were impacted by that scene, and a scene is really the word to use here. JT Miller got choked up. Like, the most alpha bro hockey dude was literally getting choked up about the moment that he stood on the ice and just watched what this city can be and what this fan base can be. That's a guy who's been through a lot here.
Oh, yeah.
Good and bad. And yeah, they've been chanting his name in a good way most of the season, but like, he's had some real down moments too. So I can only imagine what it meant to him. He said that after the birth of his children and his wedding, That was a kind of third moment up there. And he doesn't take that stuff lightly. So pretty incredible. But Tyler Myers too. And just Quinn Hughes talked about how he's gone through ups and downs with this team and how that was just this incredible moment. So to hear all of them talk about what that moment has meant to them and to what it means to them to see this fan base come alive was pretty incredible. And I think that energy and that belief, they're going to feed off of it. And I do think it can spark them and give them a little oomph when they need it down the stretch here.
And Gemma, I will say it definitely feels like the crowd is like really, they're all in good intentions. And I mean, with that Casey chant that was leading up, I'm just like, yeah, watching at home. And I'm like, it's a shame it was a stinker. But what's your opinion on the defense chant? Because I mean, it just seems like everybody just wants to chant everything.
The defense chant has to go. The defense chant, the wave, and car flags. Like those three, out. Save your defense chants for when you go to the Lions this summer. The defense chant has no place in Rogers Arena. I'm sorry, my friends.
They can come up with a more creative chant.
Absolutely. Come on. Like, can you not use your creativity the same way the Winnipeg Jets fans heckle goalies? That's what I want to see. Like, put your creativity to work here, my friends.
And they've been creative before with previous coaches. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
like, it's there.
Come
it's
on.
there.
Like, Bruce, there it is, was organic. Let's use that level of creativity and put it towards something fun for the playoffs. I'm not helping, but do it.
Thank you for saying that about the wave. I freaking hate the wave. I think it is the stupidest thing. The only thing stupider than the wave is Sweet Caroline sung along by everybody outside of Boston. I'm sorry, it's a Boston thing. Let those guys have it. It's not a Vancouver thing. I hate it so much, but thank you about the way. Car flags, to be honest with you guys, I don't really care about the car flags. I saw a guy with two yesterday, and they were both on the same side of the window, the back window. They were flapping together. Didn't make a lot of sense.
I didn't know it was possible to be trolled by an inanimate object, but I swear I am being trolled by car flags because I just do not like them. I think they're silly. I think that they all end up in the landfill, and I think they're just such a waste. But every time I express this point of view, it's like they're like mushrooms, and they just 17 more appear in my peripheral vision. I saw one on a bike the other day, you guys. It's out of control.
All right. Well, fair enough. Now we know that Gemma doesn't like car flags, and we do agree with the fact that she doesn't like the wave as well.
It's not that Gemma doesn't want to have fun in the no fun city. We just want to have a little more creative and original.
Be creative with your fun. Come on.
Yes. Well, hopefully the Canucks can be creative here in Game 3, try to get the W as they head down to Nashville for Games 3 and 4, and you'll be going down there as well. So enjoy Smashville and take it easy at Tootsie's, all right? You don't do it all after Game 3. You still have Game 4 as well after that. But
pace yourself.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Many thanks to Gemma for joining. She's a gem. If you will.
Thank you for your service as Canadian Press.
Yes.
Honestly. Yeah.
There you go. Pretty cool for her to be able to go down to Nashville. I know a bunch of guys are going down there. A bunch of our colleagues are going down there. Apparently one of the best cities in America, from what everybody says. Just a really good party town.
Still haven't been myself. So.
Yeah, me neither. And to be honest with you, it's like one of those cities that never crossed my mind until recently. And it's mostly hockey folk that are like, no, get down there. Like it's a great time.
They're even running ads on hockey games now for it. So
Bridgestone Arena, we talked about Rogers Arena being, loud. Bridgestone gets loud as well.
Oh yeah. Nashville, no doubt they're going to bring it because they saw those first two games on TV and went, okay, well.
And the Tennessee Titans, I hope their offensive line shows up like they have in the past when they're pouring the beers through the catfish and they're drinking beers through the catfishes. That's amazing. I love the fact that they throw the catfish on the ice too. It's a bit of a, steal from the Red Wings with the octopus, but it's a good tradition. I love that down in Nashville. So it should be a good time, but let's see if the Canucks can have themselves a good time down there because it's going to be a tough atmosphere to win in. And like I said, the way the Preds are playing right now, I hope they have some depth, because they are battered and bruised after that Game 2 win. A solid win for them nonetheless, though. Before we get out of here too, this is interesting because she was talking about, her first playoff atmosphere at Rogers Arena. My first playoff atmosphere was my first year essentially on the beat. And that was back in 2011 during the Cup run. I'm the junior for News 1130 at the time. And I got a press seat all season long. But I don't really have to work a lot of these games. Like my boss was covering the Canucks essentially. I go to game 1 against Chicago and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. I can't wait to do this and then after that, I never sat in the seat again. The higher ups at Rogers, like some executive, some suit took my seat that I had all season long. I was at probably 37 games, let's say. So there's me with my tiny violin whining to all you guys. But that's my only taste of the atmosphere. In all the years that I've been in media, and of course the Canucks haven't been in many playoff runs.
You and I have been in the media a while. Like I've been in there longer than you, but yep, that's the life, man. They giveth and take it away. Yeah. So but also how devastating for you, your first year on the beat, and you're like, man, this is what life's going to be like. Like, oh,
totally. And all season long, like we had 2 seats. And, essentially my boss, she did all the work. Like, 'cause she was like, I cover the team. Like, we didn't need anybody in the visitors dressing room. She went to the, Canucks dressing room. So I would just go and soak in the atmosphere, get to know people, I'm new on the beat and come playoff time. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And then, nope, sorry, your seat is taken. Oh, but you can run out to the airport and get the team when they're coming back from Nashville. Again, me on my soapbox whining. All right, listen, I'm done now. All right. And so is this podcast, but we will be back. After game 4, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Come back after game 4 and we'll unpack what happened there in Nashville. See if the Canucks can come out of there, perhaps up a couple, maybe even, hopefully not down a couple though. We'll unpack it all though here on the Vancouver Hockey Show. Many thanks once again to Gemma Karstens-Smith for joining, for producer Aaron. I'm Andrew Wadden. Thanks for listening, everyone.